Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Let's Have a Conversation. I am thrilled today to have Elizabeth Lee, better known Libby Lee, with us as our guest. Elizabeth, or Libby, we should call her, was actually my high school art teacher. So I've known Libby a long time, and I can't think of another local artist who's contributed more to area nonprofits and community causes than Libby. So I'm thrilled to be here with you today in your beautiful home. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So we're going to start way in the beginning. So Libby, where were you born?
I was born in Cohoes, New York,
Okay.
and but I have always lived right on this road, Dunsback Ferry Road. This is a new home. I live farther down towards the river in a farmhouse, and we had 80 acres. And my father was a farmer, and we had cows and chickens. And my father sold the milk, and we actually lived, on a farm, self, whatever they call it, Anyway, I grew up there, and I went to one-room school up at Belt Corners for 6 grades, and then went on to Latham for 2 years, and then to Cohoes High School.
So your mailing address right now is Cohoes, is
Yes.
that correct? So when you say you were born in Cohoes, were you born at home or were you born in the
I was
house?
born in Cohoes High School.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, the old Cohoes.
I still have the bill. My father had it in his records. It would cost like about less than $100
to have a baby.
to have a baby.
And at that point, women got to stay in the hospital for a little bit.
For a
I
week,
think.
yes.
Now they quicker time around.
Right.
So now you are were one of two children, correct?
Yes, I have just one brother. Yes.
Okay, and what's the age difference between, and what's your brother's name?
Donald. And he was very good in all the local things. He was with the fire company for 50 years, and he was an elder in the church, the Belt Reformed Church, for 50 years.
Wow.
So he was, very, and he always worked in the town, and for different people, and then he wound up working for the school district.
Nice.
And and he's still alive. He'll be 97 in July.
Well, that's wonderful.
And he's up
Congratulations.
at Kingsway.
Okay.
So I traveled up to visit him quite often.
So not too far away.
No, not too far away.
So you had 80 acres. Your parents had 80 acres, two children. Did you have a lot of chores growing up?
Well, not too many. I guess I did have little things, but I don't really remember being overwhelmed by them.
Yeah.
I seemed to always have time, for myself to play with my friends. Well, friends, didn't have any friends. There weren't many houses. The house across the street from me here and the house that we lived in were the only two houses from between here and the river. So
Looks a lot different now.
and then my father bought this property in 1946, and my parents' house is just down the road. Theirs was the first one, and my brother's is the log home, and this is mine. So we had our three houses on this 500-foot frontage.
Wow, that's wonderful. Now I'm just curious. This area was prone to flooding. Yes.
No,
No.
not that I ever remember. No,
I always thought this area with the Mohawk River.
Well, the river used to, when the river rose, because of course we used to have a ferry. That's why it was called Dunsback Ferry.
Do you remember the ferry?
No, that was a little bit before my time. And but then they had a bridge, and the bridge was washed out with the ice, because coming around the corner down there, the ice used to build up, and it did wash the bridge out. So then eventually, of course, they built the other crescent bridge farther downstream. But no flood ever came up here, because we are quite a few feet above the water here.
Yeah. So you went to Bounce School. So it was one room.
One room school.
And now what was that like?
Well, I thought it was good. I liked it. I always liked school anyway.
Yeah.
And of course, I guess I was the star artist, you might say, because once you do something, the teachers, And so I used to do all the invitations for the PTA meetings and the lettering, if she wanted lettering on the board, and then I would draw with colored chalk on the board. And I did that in 7th and 8th grade at Latham too. I did quite a few big murals on the walls over there. And
how many kids were in that one room schoolhouse?
we used to have about 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
With one teacher.
With one teacher.
And all different grades.
In all different grades.
Now, where was that located, that particular schoolhouse?
It's let's see, it would be, oh gosh, just across from those new apartments in back of the mobile station there.
Okay.
Just right there. It's turned into a home now.
Oh,
It
all right.
has-
So
yeah,
it
it's a
still
house
exists.
for quite a while. The building
Okay.
still exists. Yeah.
I know the building. All right. Yeah.
So that was a mile walk. You know, as I always say, I had to walk a mile to school, and that's what I did.
There was no traffic, I assume, or
no,
minimal.
right? No.
That's funny. Yeah.
No,
And the Latham School, that was up on Route 9?
it was behind the old firehouse there
Okay.
on Old Loudon Road. There used to be that big brick building in the back there. It's gone now.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was originally, but it was a 2-story building, and they just had 7th and 8th grade there,
And then down to Cohoes High.
and then down to Cohoes High.
And so, did you always enjoy doing art? It sounds like people were asking you to do art. So, did it come naturally, or is it something you worked
No,
at?
I used to just always do it at home. I used to start by copying the funny papers, you know, the characters in the funny papers, and the Disney characters, and I guess I just always drew and colored, and of course I was always pleased to get a piece of colored paper was a big deal, you know. And then high school, I took all the art courses, which were all drawing again, mostly drawing, until my senior year, when we had a teacher from graduate of Syracuse, and she had us making the props for the plays and making all kinds of posters, and actually started using paint, you know, tempera paint. So that was really good. And then she's the one that recommended that I go to Penn Institute. So I applied and was accepted, 1946, which was the year for the veterans.
Yeah.
So there was only about 3 girls in the class and all these veterans.
Wow.
And so then I graduated from Pratt in advertising design. That was what was my major.
Are you the first, or were you the first person in your family to go to college?
Yes.
And so, I'm just curious how your parents were. They must have been awfully proud of you.
Well, they didn't say, but I guess they were. Yes, no, my mother didn't finish high school, and my father, of course, he had to work on his father's farm at the time, so he only went to 8th grade. And my brother, I don't know, I always thought he was pretty smart. I think he's still pretty smart, but he didn't take advantage of the GI Bill or anything when he got out of service. He just started working.
He had served in World War II.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I always wanted to go to college, I guess, and wound up finally getting a BA and an MA. So
That's wonderful. Now, how was it to be one of only 3 women? I bet you were pretty popular in college if there were only 3 women.
oh, the 3 you made at Pratt?
Yeah, Pratt, excuse me, yeah.
Yes, at Pratt. Well, I commuted there because I lived with my aunt and uncle in New Jersey.
Okay.
So it took me an hour and a half one way on the subway.
Oh my goodness.
When the subway was 5 cents and the Daily News was 2 cents. And the subway went up to 10 cents and it went up to 15 cents in the 3 years that I was there. And I used to get the bus across the Hudson River, George Washington bus, and then get the subway down to Brooklyn. And it was quite a, and I loved New York, you know, then, my gosh, we used to travel all over the city.
Yeah.
And used to travel the subway at night. Things are different now.
So you did both your undergrad and your graduate work at Pratt?
No,
No.
I did my graduate work at Buffalo State.
Wow, okay,
Yes.
so you leave New York and you go to Buffalo.
Yes.
And that was because of the program? I'm just curious.
Well, yes, because the college, New York State College, didn't have art education. They had it in New Paltz in 1952, but this was 49 that I went, so
Gotcha.
it just hadn't opened. I probably would have gone to New Paltz, because obviously being closer than Buffalo.
Right.
But Buffalo was the only other New York State school that had art education, because obviously I didn't have any money,
Right.
so I had to work my way through the, work my way through college.
So you graduate and you come back home?
Came back home, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so then you have a master's degree and you're able to teach art.
Mm-hmm.
So where did you go first? I'm curious. Was it Shaker or was it?
Well, no, I should back up.
Okay.
When I was, after I graduated in, let's see, 53 was, from Buffalo. I met a man in Buffalo, and we were married for 13 years.
Okay.
So I lived in Tonawanda, which is north of Buffalo, for 13 years. And then I taught at Lockport for 2 years. When I started teaching, before that I had worked for the city of Buffalo. And then I finally went into teaching and started in 49, I think? Not 49, couldn't have 49. Anyway, I'll have to think a minute on that. But anyway, then I came to Shaker in 66.
And you were there a long time.
Well, just till 83.
Okay.
You know. So I really didn't teach, the normal teacher teaches like 30 years or more, but I didn't, I think it was 20.
So you retired then in 83?
In 83,
Okay.
yes.
Oh, all right. That's the year I graduated.
Was it?
Did we force you out? I guess I didn't know that. So now, in retirement, you have been so busy.
I have been so busy every day, even right now, you know. Of course, going to see my brother takes up a little bit of my time.
Yeah.
But I play bridge twice a week and mahjong once a week. And of course, I always have my 2 or 3 art projects going. And of course, I don't know, there's just always so many things to do.
Yeah. You keep yourself
busy.
very busy.
Yes,
yeah.
I do. Yeah.
So are you a member of the Colony Art League, or were you?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes, I have been for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know at Prine House, our logo is you.
Yes.
You know, our Concerts in the Barn is your logo.
Yes.
It's your artwork.
Yes.
Shaker Heritage, it is your artwork.
Yes.
I mean, you've spent a great deal of time really contributing your beautiful talent to so many organizations.
Well, I'm happy to do it. I'm glad to do it.
Yeah. So what do you find the most enjoyment at? As we look around this room, there's everything from, it looks like watercolor or pastel, there's baskets that you've made, there's quilting. I mean, it's just, you built this house, correct?
Yeah, well, I designed it.
Okay.
And I did all the drawings, and it was accepted by the town.
Yeah.
And so, the house was built, and then I also designed the first edition that I put on, the studio down there, and that was accepted by the town. Then, I think it's about 10 years ago now, I had this porch put on, and I had to have an architect design this porch at the cost of $800.
And you could have done it yourself, right?
And, the difference between doing it.
Yeah.
I could have done it, but, the town wouldn't allow it.
So you tend to go from several different mediums. I don't know if you have chapters and you kind of close one out and start a new medium, or do you do it simultaneously?
Well, the architectural, I've only done that the once, really. I haven't designed any other houses or buildings, so that was just, I used to do a lot of, for the state of New York, when I worked for them, too, in Buffalo, that was for a while, was with the highway department. So I did a lot of map working there.
Okay.
So that was another thing I've done. too.
So right behind you, I see many, many beautiful pillows that are all quilted.
Yes.
And so are you a lifelong quilter?
No, I started quilting in the 70s
Okay.
when it started to become popular again. Of course, I had an aunt, my aunt that brought my mother up. She always did quilting, and but I never did it. I always sewed. I learned to sew a long time ago, and used to make a lot of my own clothes and things. But I started quilting when it became popular in the 70s, and I've been, started out doing very conventional things. And of course, this is an example of one of my art quilts up there.
Which is absolutely beautiful.
I have a number of I have a lot of art quilts, and I, as I said, I've done a lot of watercolors, and fortunate I have won a lot of prizes in that area.
You're so talented.
And
even behind you is I don't know if that's truly a shaker chair or a replica of a shaker chair, but the chair seating. So you do the chair
yes,
weaving.
the taping, yes,
Yeah.
I did a lot of that for the shakers. Yes, the chair taping. That was a kit that they gave me when I retired to put that chair together.
Oh, okay.
And
It's beautiful.
yeah.
It's an elder's chair?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful, beautiful piece.
Yeah, it's a nice.
And I'm going to stand up over here and get this one piece because I have something similar that Libby had done. So this, what kind of ash is this? Black ash?
Brownish.
Brown ash.
Brown or black, yes.
Okay. So was this tree in your backyard? Where was the tree?
No.
No.
The tree was up in Saratoga in
Okay.
a friend's house up there. She had kind of a swampy area. And
So I just want to show you this basket. This is called a cat head basket, and if you can see, kind of right, the resembles the ears of a cat.
yeah.
So Libby went and tree got knocked down, or I don't know if you cut it down.
Helped cut it down.
Oh, she helped cut it down. She pounded, correct? Pounded the tree.
You had to have it in a trough. I had a boiler cut in half and made a trough for it, so it had to keep wet.
Had to keep
So
wet.
The log is wet.
So how big is this tree?
Well, it started out probably about a 8-inch.
Okay, so
yeah.
pretty big tree.
Yeah.
So you cut it up, you have a piece in this trough, it's soaking, and then you start cutting the splints?
You start pounding it.
Pounding. First you have
Pounding
to
it
pound.
with a wooden mallet. You keep pounding it, and then it kind of the rings begin to separate.
Okay.
And so you pull it down by the ring, and that makes for a very strong basket. A lot of the type of wood that you buy, to make a basket is split, or they actually split it. They don't pound it, the rings. So
Sounds pretty labor intensive.
yes, it was, but it comes off pretty easy.
And I don't know if
And
you
then
can
you
see
have
how delicate it is.
Well, and then you have to have a little thing with blades on it that you draw those splints through that cut it to these narrower widths. And then the rim, that's, you see it's a half round,
Yeah.
and that can be made of brown ash or white ash. And you have to make that.
And
then
then
what they call a draw knife to do that with.
This beautiful handle,
And
right?
the same with the handle, that's hand carved. The handle has to be hand carved.
So how many of these did you make? Do you have any idea?
Oh, probably about 10. I
Okay.
think I have made 10, I would say.
So you're the only person I know who's helped knock down a tree, soaked it, pounded it, and made these absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous baskets.
They're very delicate, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're
exactly.
sturdy.
Yes.
Now the
Oh, yeah.
Shakers would have used this to pluck produce
That
or
might have
berries.
been more of a saleable item, I would think.
Okay.
Rather than utilitarian. They made a lot of baskets for themselves for things, but this would have been. They might have kept some sewing in it or something, like that. But it wouldn't have been, for carrying, like they'd make for carrying wood or something.
This is a wonderful example of really the detail and the effort and the quality of your artwork. Honestly, everything you do 110%. And so that's why I'm curious that you would enjoy, and probably I assume different phases in your life. So you're painting. Are you still painting?
I still paint some watercolor, not as much. I've been more into sculpture now.
Oh, kind of sculpture.
Well, I don't know if you've seen it. I've had it on display several places, but it's in my studio, a 6-foot grizzly bear out of corrugated cardboard.
We'll have to see that. Okay.
And the 2 bear cubs with it. And then I just finished a centaur, a lady centaur.
Okay.
So that's another one you can see down there.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to view those. So you make these beautiful creations and you're putting them out on loan in libraries or museums?
Well, I did have the bears been to a couple of different places. I had it at Saratoga.
Oh.
And up at there, the one in the, right on Broadway there.
Uh-huh.
And my friend had it in her studio when they had an opening. I guess I haven't had it too many places.
Have bear will travel? Is that what you're...
Well, I mean, she can travel. She's pretty sturdy, surprisingly enough. But there's no armature under it. It's just the cardboard.
Did you soak it in? So
No,
it's got,
no.
So it's
I
fragile,
put
maybe?
paper mache on the outside,
Okay.
kind of over the, to hold it together more. Not to hold it together, but to smooth it out a little bit.
Gotcha.
And the centaur is paper mache. That's a new medium. I have done, I did a lot of clay work in graduate school. A lot of, there's some pots up there. The Indian pot is not, that's just a hand-built piece, a replica of an Indian pot. And I don't have much of I had some other clay pieces around somewhere. I used to do a lot of that. I did that as a graduate project down at SUNY.
Wonderful. There isn't one particular form of art that you say that was my favorite.
Oh, I don't think so. I just keep finding new avenues to search into and go into. And
What got you into sculpture?
I don't know. When I was at Pratt, they have a foundation year, and they always recommend at the end what area you should go into. And they wanted me to go into industrial design. But I felt that was, at the time, thinking back in the 50s, that's a man's world, you know.
Right.
And but I always wanted the advertising anyway. So I just insisted on it, so they let me take it.
Okay.
But they recommended me for my three-dimensional work. So I don't know if that came back somehow or not.
Right. That's fun. Are you happy you taught?
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Oh, I like teaching well enough. It was hard work,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of fun. No, and especially the high school students. I like them. I always liked that age group.
Nice.
They were a lot of fun for me.
So I'm just curious, what advice would you give a young person, a young woman maybe who's thinking about going into art or going into teaching art? What advice after living a lifetime of doing all this beautiful art?
Well, I would encourage anybody to follow. There's a lot of areas in art. You know, everything is touched by art. I mean, everything you see is someone designed it or someone did it. You know, and so there's, you know, you don't have to just sit in a garret and paint pictures. You know, and which is not the best area to go into, certainly not financially, and. But there's always, you know, there's a lot, as I say, a lot of different areas, and teaching is one of them. That, you know, you can pass it on. And to me, of course, now you can imagine how long I've been retired, and I'm busy every day. And I think there's a lot of people that retire that, you know, really get very, you know, they just don't have anything to do, I guess.
Stationary.
Yeah. And for me, it's just been, even during the COVID, I mean, I was so busy all during the COVID. I, you know, just went right along and got a lot of things done, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of projects that I was thinking of doing. So.
Now, prior to the pandemic, you used to travel quite a bit.
Oh yes, I've traveled a lot. I've been, gosh, I probably can't. Well, you probably could mention someplace. I've only been to Egypt in Africa. I've never been in any other place in Africa, and South America. I've just been to Venezuela, and that was quite a while ago. And so those are the two places. But I only missed about 5 states, I think, in this country, and I've been all over Europe, and sometimes twice. I did fly around the world once.
You did?
Yeah, went from here to London, and then to Vienna, and then to Egypt and Pakistan, and I flew over the Himalayas into China, and from China back to the West Coast.
I remember when you went to China, because you talked about drinking orange soda.
Well, that was the influence of the British, I guess, in Hong Kong, probably. You know, that's one of Britain's things, orange soda. Yeah, that was a wonderful trip. I went to China again on an art trip, painting.
Nice.
And but the second time, I went the second time because I wanted to go to Xi'an, where the statues are, you know, the excavation there, and which was wonderful to see. I mean, just fascinating. But the pollution, you know, was so bad. My eyes watered all the time, and the difference when I first went to China in 1980, it was like during the Depression. The only cars were some government cars. Everybody was on a bicycle or walking. And when I went back in, I think it was 88 or 89, there were cars all over the place, and it was just so entirely different. And so I was so glad I went when I did, because it was what I always thought China was, you know, what it was like.
More rural and industrial. Yeah. So what's on your bucket list?
Oh, gee. Well, I've kind of given up traveling. Traveling is hard work, and it's you know, well, keeps getting more expensive too, of course. And so I don't. The only place I go is down to see my cousin in Florida, and and other than just doing my projects here, that's about all I have in mind. And they just keep coming. I always seem to have something new to do. So
Well, not very long ago,
satisfying.
we pestered you for Pine House. We did an activity book, and you assisted us with that artwork.
Yes, I got one of those copies. I would like to get a couple more copies
Okay.
to send to some of my friends. I
Yeah.
thought they might like to see it. I keep meaning to do that. I don't. Yes, that was fun. It was fun working with Nancy and Jolene. They were very nice, and I can't think of the girl that wrote
Tammy?
the copy.
Oh, who wrote the?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I can't think of her name either.
Yeah.
About it. But that was fun, and so
Part of this is staying fun and engaged, right?
yes,
Enjoying life.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
That's the thing to do. Just keep busy and.
Now I remember going to your 90th birthday. If you don't mind me asking your age, was
No,
that?
I was just 93 a couple of weeks ago.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. No, it was a great birthday party. That was good. And you gave the most fabulous speech. I was just like, wow, my gosh, she's so
Yeah,
articulate.
that was a fun party. It was.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun.
Ah.
And one of my cousins, she's the one that helped out a lot on that with all the balloons. She had 100 balloons, you know. And yeah, that was great.
Nice. Well, Libby, on behalf of Colony Senior Service Centers, our staff, our board, thank you so much for taking the time to have a conversation.
Well, you're very welcome. I'm glad to do it, and thank you. Always been admired you too for all the things that you do.
Well, I hang out with the right people. Thank you.